Cayetano Domingo Grossi was the first serial killer in Argentinian history. He murdered 5 of his own neonatal children that were born as the result of his sexual abuse of his 2 stepdaughters. For this reason he was sentenced to death and executed by firing squad on April 6, 1900. On May 29, 1896, a bag containing the arm of a baby was found at a waste facility. The findings were reported to Police Station 12, where the head of police ordered an inspection of the place. Leaving the place under surveillance, they found, among the trash, a shattered skull, legs, and the other arm. It was concluded that all parts were from the same body. The autopsy revealed that baby died from a skull fracture, but the investigation did not yield any leads as to who the victim or the killer was, leaving the crime unsolved. 2 years later, on May 5, 1898, a body of a newborn with a shattered skull in advanced state of decomposition was found. On his arms and neck were signs of first and second degree burns. According to the forensic tests, the baby did not die from the burns, it died from severe compression of the anterior part of the neck. During the investigation, someone noticed that the body appeared to be wrapped up in burlap that is used often in repairs. It was established that a car had collected the garbage and human remains. Interviewing a man named Cayetano, he confessed that he had seen the remains, but of fear of being considered involved, had decided to say nothing to police. Thoroughly reviewing the collected items, the researchers noticed that the bag had numerous patches, had a remarkable wear on the trellises, as if it had been used by a peddler carrying baskets with straps, and that in his pockets were remains of cigarettes and anise grains, which made the authorities consider that the perpetrator was either Spanish or Calabrian, since they had a habit of carrying anise seeds. The other garments, by their quality and condition, showed that their owner was poor. Thus, the police started staking out the garbage cart and directing the search towards people with scarce resources. They were able to locate and take cognizance on May 9, 1898, that on Artes Street 1438 in the Retiro neighborhood of Buenos Aires, there was a family that always dressed in the morning. The aforementioned family consisted of a woman named Rose Ponce de Nicola, her spouse, Cayetano Domingo Grossi, Rose's 2 older daughters Clara and Catalina, and 3 younger children. The police learned from neighbors' testimonies that Grossi had intimate relationships with his stepdaughters. It was also established that Clara had been pregnant a short time before, and a few days later, she was in a normal state, not knowing what happened to her baby. A day later, on May 10, a police commission ordered an inspection of a room occupied by the family, which revealed a tin containing the body of an infant wrapped in rags, thus confirming their suspicions. Grossi explained that the sack was found in a garbage bin belonging to his son Carlos, and that he had killed the baby at Clara's request. He also said that the other baby had been born dead. That night, Rosa and her daughter Clara declared that the latter had 2 children with Grossi. He initially denied having intercourse with his stepdaughters, blaming their boyfriends for their pregnancies. Finally, a few days later, he confessed to murdering the first found baby in 1896, at the same time he confessed to incinerating several more babies, but without assuming they had died. In subsequent interrogations, Grossi acknowledged having 1 child with Catalina and 4 with Clara, strangling 3, the remaining 2 being burned by his stepdaughters. Rosa, Clara and Catalina accepted the 5 crimes but blamed Grossi for the deaths of the newborns. The strange degree of submission of the women to the criminal which had led them to be so silent for so long caught the police's attention. It was alleged that on one occasion Grossi tried to sexual abuse one of Rosa's younger daughters, but the sisters prevented it. Finally, it was established that Grossi himself helped with the births and then threw the babies into fires, which was witnessed by the women. Grossi's concubine Rosa and her daughters, Clara and Catalina, were considered concealers of the homicides and were sentenced to 3 years of effective prison each and paying court costs. Ultimately, Catalina's sentence was reduced to 2 years in prison. Having established the responsibilities of the accused, Cayetano Domingo Grossi was found guilty as the perpetrator of the murders of the babies. He was sentenced to death by Judge Ernesto Madero. The day of his execution, At 5 o'clock in the morning, Grossi's children entered the prison chapel, the first to enter being a 19-year-old man. He hadn't seen his father in over a year, but he showed no emotion on his face. The youngest son, Lorenzo, 6 years old, did not want to approach his father and shied away from his caresses. Teresita, his daughter, cried when she saw him, also resisted hugging him. First Lieutenants Rosa Burgos and Calixto Garcia and Captain Manuel Medrano were in charge of his execution. He was blindfolded, put on the bench and had his hands and feet tied. Grossi was executed by firing squad on April 6, 1900 at 8 a.m. Second Lieutenant Emilio Lascano approached his body and shot him in a coup de grace. He is the first serial killer in Argentinian history and not Cayetano Santos Godinho, as most believe.